3, 2. We're into it again. This is a big one.
Here we
I love
go.
this topic. It's going to be a goodie.
Yeah,
what are we talking about
happy
today,
with
Dean?
this. We're going to be talking about earning your stripes.
Yeah.
So very, very important for this day and age.
Yeah, very important. That's right. What's news, Dev?
What's news? Well, Tower Gym's up and running. We got thank you. It's been massive. Last 2 weeks we've people have just been signing up left, right, and centre. It's all over the Instagram, of Facebook. People talking about how it's the best gym in Wellington. That's what their words. I don't think I'm allowed to say that.
Get those Google reviews going.
Yeah, that's the plan. Get some stuff. If you're a Fitness Portal member and you're listening in, jump on Google, chuck a review. Jump on Facebook, chuck a review. That's the best way you can help us grow even more. So, it's been epic couple of weeks, but definitely going to be looking forward to the part where we can chill out a little bit. Yeah.
Very good.
Late nights. And what about you? What's been happening?
I've been going full noise, Late nights,
yeah.
Especially over the last week. I had a big test. We have 40%, so it was pretty chunky for uni, and just lots going on in the background, business stuff, and I've entered this startup program competition thing, and I got through to finals. So I've got this big pitch coming up where I've got go in front of a panel of judges, and there's a few prizes up for grabs. So.
Nice. Oh, what's happened here?
This is in kind. So hopefully that goes well. Just doing the thing, staying up till the early hours of the morning, getting stuff done. You know how we roll.
I'm the opposite to you. I need to go to bed early so I can work early in the morning. Like, I'd rather wake up at 6 or 5 and get my stuff done early morning so that I can just chill in the evening. Whereas you seem to be someone who can work right up until 3, 4 in the morning and just go hard.
I have kind of a funny body clock, so I probably get up like around 7:38 normally. If there's something on earlier, like I go running with the running club on Wednesdays, so that's a little bit earlier.
Nice.
But get up around that time, and then I have an afternoon sleepy, right?
Your little napper.
So I have this afternoon crash after lunch and just wake up whenever the body clock wakes me up, and then I go hard at night. So I go till probably 2, 3 in the morning, sometimes 4, because I find when the world is silent, I just put in the headphones and go town on work, It's kind of nice.
That's kind of why I like the early mornings, because I can get up and no one's disturbing you, so you can just get lots of work done.
Just different models, but same rhythm.
Something works for everybody.
Exactly. You got something sizzling in the background.
We got our food prep happening at the moment, so
important for the week.
So I was on cutting up the pumpkin this morning just before we started, because pumpkins are a pain to cut up. Did a bit of chicken. So we got roast pumpkin, potato, chicken for lunches. I'm doing a vermicelli stir-fry noodle for dinners.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You're making my mouth water, mate.
It's a beautiful thing.
Good stuff. Good to be prepared for a week. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Earning your stripes. Big topic.
Yes.
I love this one. It's an important one to talk about, and I know it just rings a bell with me, There's a lot I resonate with that.
It's stuck home when you mentioned earning your stripes, because I was like, there's a lot of people at the moment who feel that they're very entitled to getting paid a certain amount of money, or they should be in this team. And a lot of people haven't learned that sometimes you've got to work for a long time to get to being in that top position, and they haven't quite learned the work ethic that you've got to do to get to those top end places. So the idea of earning your stripes is a really good way to put it. It's not like people are probably working hard, but they don't realize that sometimes you've just got to do the grunge work for years to get to the position one. And you're a perfect example of what you're doing at the moment with studying to be a doctor. Like, you've got your study, and then you've got how many years where you're like underneath somebody afterwards?
Yeah, so we have our 6-year degree, and then we have like 2 years as a junior doctor, just like learning the ropes a little bit, and then we pick a specialization that apparently will be in for the rest of our medical career. Because once you're in something, it's hard to get out of it, because you've invested a lot of time into getting to that point, and they want to make sure they choose the right person, and then if you jump out of it, like, and you try and jump into a new specialization, that new specialization will be like, hold on, what happened there? Why'd you jump out of that one? Like, will you jump out of our program? And some of those programs can take like up to 8 years or something to get fully qualified. So it's a bit of a journey, but funnily enough, this part of the journey, this is the part I like. Like, it's nice, like when you're like on the uphill battle, you get to stretch your mind, you get to like figure things out, you're learning all the time. This is where like you earn your stripes. You're like, you have a vision for yourself in the future, and you have something to aim towards. I love like eating dirt, like being at the bottom, and then like you can see where you're gonna go, and it's just and it never ends, like it's just you keep grinding, you keep going, you keep working, you keep hitting it, and just see where you land. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, like you just give it your best shot, you back yourself, and like sometimes it's hard, or a lot of the time it's hard, but like
most of the
you
time
give
it's hard.
your best go,
It was like I did a talk at NZIS the other day, so New Zealand Institute of Sport, and went in. There's a class full of keen learners about to get their, I think it's their level 5 qualification diploma in exercise science. And the main thing I got at the end of the chat, a whole bunch of them came up to me and they said, I want to own a gym. I want to run on my own. What do you recommend? And I was like, well, first of all, have you ever been in a gym before? And I'd say 3 out of the 5 that came and asked me that question said no. Hadn't even been in a gym. And I'm like, so you want to own your own gym and you've never been in a gym? No. Yeah. Well, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, you've got to go and do the grunt. First of all, you've got to be able to do a workout. Like, you've got to, if you're owning a gym, you've got to understand the mechanics of a gym. And then second of all, you've got to go do the cleaning. You've got to do the reception. You've got to do literally every part of the gym, or at least in some form of business, like go do reception, do retail. Like, retail is one of the best ways to learn how to start a business, in my opinion, because you've been at what they consider the bottom. But if you don't have,
I've had a lot of jobs in my time, but I've never done retail. That's the one sector I think that I haven't done.
I to be honest, I haven't done retail either. I've done I've done bartending and I've done reception at a gym, but I've never done retail. But I feel like they're all on a similar level.
I've had a few labor jobs, a few admin jobs, a few what. I've been a dishwasher in a cafe for quite a while, like 6 months. I've been they're like those bottom level jobs. Like they're so good for like that work ethic and just like turning up every day, consistency, getting into the groove. Just you earn a little bit of money, you earn your stripes. You've got to start somewhere, it just, and you have utility to that business, so you can, if you're in an industry that you want to be in, you can get helpful hints from people around the place once you're in that sector, and you get a taster, like you were saying. You've got to like have a little taste of what you're going into, like those people who want to own a gym. Because
Yeah.
how long
Well,
how long were you in like the gym and fitness industry before you started your own gym?
So the first time I stepped foot in a gym, I was 15. And that was back at Les Mills days when we used to go train together. I think I started there before training with you guys, but then we, once we started training for New Zealand, me, you, and Seb used to do those little dirty rowing sets and throw around a bit of tin together. And then obviously jumped into a bit of CrossFit. So I lifted and did a lot of fitness orientated things up until it was 23 when I left radio. And then I got a job as club manager at City Fitness Petone. And that's when I started my gym. So that was 7 years ago now that I started there. And so I did 9 months as a manager of a gym because it was a maternity-based contract. And then I got my PT qualification, started PTing, did 3 years of personal training and at City Fitness, and also got promoted to head coach in that time. So I've been a club manager, I've been a head coach, and I've been a personal trainer with a successful PT business for 3 years. And then Tim, who is my business partner, he was only a PT for actually 6 or 7 months before we decided to start our gym. But he had also been an electrician for, he would have been an electrician for like 8 years or something like that, working for, I think it was Mainline, and he was a foreman there. And so he like did the big countdown jobs, the big Kmart jobs, all that sort of stuff. And so he started his own business, Black Fox Electrical. So he's already running a successful business. And so he said to me, he's like, well, why don't we go start a gym? And I was like, yeah, all right, let's go. So we decided that we would start a gym, talk to a few people who knew about business, and next minute, 6 months later, we opened the fitness portal. So
nice.
It wasn't all like just smooth. Like there was a lot of hiccups.
Absolutely.
Some stuff I actually can't talk about due to like contractual things. But you know, like there was a lot of ups and downs in the building of it, and there was a lot of like going back to having to do the work that there's a line that I've heard recently that I've heard a few people saying, it's that whole, oh, that's below my pay grade. And it really irks me. Like, I don't think anything is below anyone's pay grade. For example, one time, business partner Tim had to do a reception shift. And so he went in and he cleaned the whole gym spotless. And he's the owner. Like, but he was like, if I can do it, everyone else can too. So that was kind of his way of showing that nothing is too low for him. And if there's a job that we don't want to do, that we're like, nah, we won't do that. We won't make our staff do it. But
yeah.
So if we can prove that we can do it, it means that our staff have that respect for us to do it as well. But yeah, so like we hired cleaners because our reception staff, that's not really their job to go deep clean toilets. So we're like, well, there's a cleaner. That's what their job title is. That's what they have wanted to do. So we bring them in to do the cleaning because that job's a pretty awful job. And then we're also helping out local cleaning companies. So it's kind of that side things. But we also expect that if the toilet's dirty and someone sees it, they're going to clean it. And that's part of that whole earning your stripes situation. It's like, if you can work hard in that entry-level job and prove yourself, then someone's going to be able to see. So even if you want to start your own business or if you just want to make your way up the chain, if you can't be seen doing those basic jobs and doing them well, how is someone going to trust you to be able to do the hard jobs well?
100%.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah. I'd agree with you, mate. I think the hard work is in proportional to your ambitions, right? Yeah. So if you see yourself as some big shot that wants to earn $1 billion one day, like it's very unlikely like you'll get there if you sit on your ass, you know. It's unlikely. Like there's a very slim chance that you'll inherit that kind of money. So there's got to be something that happens between now and whenever you're going to get the millions or billions of dollars, right? So a lot of the time that's work, right? And so if you're willing to, like, if that's the decision you've made in your head, like, you've got to be able to put in the grind, do the hard yards, and actually prove your worth. Like, you can't be all talk. You can't just talk smack. Like, personally, I like going after big goals, big dreams. You know,
really, I never noticed.
It feels nice. Yeah, and it brings a bit of meaning to my life. So, yeah, but like, there's a lot of work that happens in the background. I was just saying to you last night, I was up till 3:30 working.
Yeah,
you know, it's on a Saturday night, just grinding away. That's the trade-off. You know,
all the
and
other
hopefully it'll
students
be
are
worth
getting...
it. You never quite know.
Yeah. I reckon it will be. Like, that's I guess why we're the optimistic struggles, right? Like, we're
absolutely
optimistic, but we don't get there. It's not easy. It's a few people have said, "Oh, you're so lucky," and I'm like, "Is lucky a thing?" Like, I was actually saying to Bex this morning, I was like, "How is it that Tim and I have just managed to get into so many good positions?" Like, and I'm not saying that in an arrogant way. I'm saying that as in, like, a holy shit, how have we done this? Like, there's so many times I wake up and I'm like, I have a second gym now. Like, it's an actual functioning top. Like, people are coming in and going, wow, like, this is so professional. This is so top level. And it's hard to think that, like, I've always had that dream, but now it's starting to happen. Like, it's each day, and it's that whole thing you're talking about. We put in the hours behind what people don't see. Like, they don't see the late nights, the early mornings, the hard work that goes in behind it. But all they see is the success, and they go, "Oh, wow, they're lucky," or "Oh, it's just been handed to them," sort of thing. And it's
for sure.
It's a very hard. And then there's, like, for you, there's so much that you've done that people probably don't even know, but you don't do it for that external gratification. You're doing it for your own gratification, right? Like, you're doing it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, I personally believe I deserve nothing, right? I deserve zero. There's nothing I like deserve. So if you start from that baseline, like, if I have no income, then, like, that's because I don't deserve any income. You know, you've got to provide value out there in order to get something, right? So that's like the baseline. But because I enjoy, like, working and, like, figuring things out and problem solving, like, that's where the value comes, and then the income comes to me. Like, I'm not on a, like, super high wage. I'm still a student. I'm doing the thing, but like, I genuinely don't, like, I believe that I don't deserve anything from anyone. So I've got to prove myself to get myself out there to actually get something in return. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, like, there's been so many failures along the line, like, that has to be, like, leapfrogged or whatever. But those failures, it's because, like, when I put, like, in quotation marks, I don't feel like they're failures because, like, I just didn't deserve it at the time. You know, that was just the reality of, like, what was happening in my world at the time, and with the external factors and what I was putting out, like, that's just what happened. I'll give you an example. So I don't know how many people know this about me, but I applied to medicine 4 times before I was accepted, right? So I went into uni first year and didn't get accepted after first year. That's, like, the crazy competitive year that everyone talks about, and it's always in the papers. And then I went through my sports science degree and tried to go for it post-grad, but my grades were a little shy of the amount that needed. So I didn't get in that time. Then I sat GAMSAT, which is a 9-hour test to go to Australian medical schools. Didn't make it, right? So then I had, like, a 3 or 4 year break, and I applied, like, later down the line, and attended an interview, filled out, like, a big application form, and police vetting and letters of intent and references and what have you, and then made it. 4 years later. So there's probably a good 10-year break before I made it into med school. And now I'm in med school and I've got 6 more years. And then after that, more training, more I've had this is probably a 2-decade investment into earning your stripes before I'll be so it's but it's just a journey, I didn't deserve it back then. There were better people. It's just there's no they were deserving. They put in the hard yards. They're probably great people. I can't fault them. I just at the time I didn't deserve it, and now I do.
But the great thing is that you still wanted it, and you're going, right, I still want to get there. So you figured out, okay, well, how can I do it? And each time you failed, you probably learnt massively stuff about yourself and your own work ethic. And so now, coming into med school 10 years later, you're actually probably in a better position than you were, whatever it was, 6, 7, 8 years ago that you
100%.
first didn't get in. Like, imagine if you'd got in your second year, would you have actually taken in as much as what you can take in now?
For sure. And in those breaks that I had, or we'll call them breaks, I was still doing the thing. I got into other stuff like business and projects here and there, and I met incredible people. So I didn't think, I really don't think of it as lost time. And if anything, I think I'm in a better position, because if I went into medicine straight off the bat, then my whole world would be medicine. It would be I'd know a lot about one thing. Now I know a little about a lot, and I can take those pieces of knowledge and apply them to other areas. So I think I'm at an advantage by not going into medicine straight up.
Yeah, because I remember talking to my brother. He went back to study when he was 28. Decided that personal training wasn't for him. He had retired from swimming for New Zealand, and he was like, right, this is me. I'm not really into this whole fitness industry. It's I want to enjoy it again. So he decided that he was quite good at IT. So he went and studied up in Auckland, and he got a degree in IT development. And he said that it was he took in so much more, and he had so much better work ethic than when he was in his early 20s, going back and studying again late 20s, early 30s. It's not, shouldn't be something that's shunned. I think when I was going back quite a few years, people used to think, oh, well, why would you go back to study at that age? But now it's starting to become really well accepted, and people are that's actually really good. They're going back to kind of develop themselves, or maybe they want to change in their life. And I think that a lot of people in their late 20s, early 30s, even in their 40s, they've got the potential to, even 50s, 60s, why not? Don't want to discriminate, right? But you've got so much more. It's that work ethic we're talking about. And now Casey's smashing it. He went back and studied. He got a job really easy coming out of uni because he had all that life experience. You hear all these stories about people who go and study something and then they can't get a job related to their degree. But it's because they've just come out of uni. They've got no work experience, and they're expecting to be paid this much because they've got a degree. So they're overqualified. And then they're like, oh, well, this isn't fair. And then they end up going and doing something completely different to what their degree was. So it's probably not a bad thing having a couple of gap years after school, or going and studying something that you're not too worried about, and then figuring out what you want to do at 25, 26, 27, and then going and doing it. Because that life experience is just massive. It's kind of like we talked about the other day. There's no such thing as common sense, which is a podcast that might be coming on later.
Common sense isn't common.
Yeah.
We'll hit it.
But I think life experience does help towards that sort of thing, and it helps you earn your stripes to be able to get those, hit those numbers or hit those goals that you are trying to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many paths you can take. To get to what your vision of success is. It's just putting one foot forward in front of the other. There's a lot that can happen with just a little bit of hard work. And when I say a little bit, it's like years, sometimes decades. But like if you're putting one foot in front of the other, then like it's inevitable that as long as you're heading in the right direction, you'll get there. Because the majority of people don't want to work. Like they go to work to get paid so they can live a sustainable life. Like, and then they get to the weekend, and that's like their break from work, you know. And I feel empathetic towards them. That's a tough position to be in emotionally. 5 days out of the week, you're like you're doing something you don't really want to do, you know. So it's if you can mentally associate like your work with hitting the goals that you want to get to, and the more time you put into your work, the easier it will be to hit those goals. Then it makes it a lot easier to do the work, you know, because you're getting benefit from it. So it's a bit of a game, really, right?
Yeah, it sort of depends on the people, what you're wanting to achieve, right? So like you said, some people, your idea of success, which is a really good line. And I think that comes back to what is your idea of success, and everyone's is different. Success is a very ambiguous term. So my idea of success is being able to provide like a reason, like it doesn't have to be me providing it all, but me and Bex being able to live a comfortable life. We want to be able to go out for dinner and not have to check the bank account. Just be able to be like, we're going to have dinner tonight, and it's not going to mean that we can't eat for the rest of the week. That's my idea of success, being able to pay the mortgage, have your own house, have a car, like just the simple things in life, and it all be comfortable. So you don't have to worry every day about, okay, well, what's our budget? Like we can only spend this much on food. We can only do this. That to me is success. And to other people, success might be, you know, owning a mansion, or it might be having 4 kids, like, I don't know, like whatever your success is. And then going, okay, well, that's where I want to be. So what do I have to do to get there? And what are the steps that I have to go through? And sometimes you're going to have to do the stuff you don't want to do. And that's that whole point of earning your stripes, to get past those points to eventually get to what your idea of success is. And if your idea of success is, or if you don't really care about success and you just want to be able to enjoy your life and live your life, and you've got a job that you don't hate, that's 9 to 5, it gets you the money, it means you can live, and it means you can go do the things that you want to do, then sweet, you've knocked it. Like I've got 2 clients in their 40s, and they decided they didn't want to have kids because they were like, man, we don't need kids. Like we enjoy living our life. We've got a 9 to 5 job that's pretty cruisy. They take every second Friday off so that they can go do a tramp for a weekend. And they do every second weekend, they go for a walk. And they took the pay cut because they were like, well, we don't need the money. We don't have too many expenses. So that's the life we're going to live. And they love life. Like loveliest couple. Dream. Yeah, they're living the dream. They come to the gym, not because they enjoy the gym. Well, they started to a little bit, but they were really not keen on the gym. But they started because they wanted to be able to keep walking. They were like, we're doing this as prehab for our walking. And then, so they've got going to the gym a couple of times a week, nothing too intense, just enough to keep them fit and healthy. They go for their walks and they do like trapping and hiking and all sorts of stuff like that. And they've reached their idea of what success is, and they're living it. They're living life, and they have a job that they don't exactly love, but they've worked really hard to get into a position where they've got a job that they enjoy and they don't hate to be at. And if they start not liking it, they change job. Yeah, but they've worked hard enough that they're in a position that they can get to that. They said in their 20s, they worked their asses off to get to where they are.
Kudos to them.
Now they're in their 40s, they're just smashing life. And it's so cool to train them and like pick their brains all the time, because I'm like, tell me, how do you do this? Like, I learn more from I feel like sometimes I learn more from my clients than they learn from me. And that's just because it's that two-way street.
That's cool.
Obviously, I'm showing how to exercise, but I'm learning so many different things from these people who, they've run businesses, they have really good jobs, or they, just genuinely lovely people who can teach you good work, like good things about life. So it's definitely important to figure out where you want to go, not do what everybody else thinks you should go.
Yeah, it's funny when you hear other people's stories and how they got to where they got to. I have a mate here. I'll spin a yarn, right? So I've got a mate.
Here we go.
He probably met him like 8 years ago, roughly. Yep. He's a little bit older than me. So yeah, he's quite knowledgeable, and I hit him up for advice every now and again. But before I met him, probably a year before I met him, he was knocking on doors because he couldn't pay his invoices. He couldn't pay for his own rent. He went to knock on doors to get paid from the people who owed him money, right? Literally knocking on doors. He had, I think he had an online business, and he got to a stage where like he couldn't hit his bills, right? I've forgotten the details of why he couldn't hit his bills, but essentially he had very little money, right? He was struggling. Yeah. He even went to the bank for like a small loan, like probably like $500 so that he could meet his rent, and they declined him, so he had to like sort stuff out, and he was in a frazzle for a good few months, maybe even years. But like it wasn't a comfortable position to be in, right? Yeah. But he's one of the hardest workers I have ever known, right? He gets up every day, he works out, and then he just works. Like he's on the computer doing his thing, and yeah, he's on the grind all the time. And so 10 years later, right, he's in a position like to leave work whenever he wants, right? He has enough money in the bank, he has enough assets that they keep paying him every month, bit by bit. And tomorrow, if he wanted to, he could just drop his job and do whatever he wants, right? He's at that stage, right? And that's because he's just worked his ass off over the last 10 years, right? And crazy, he's turned his situation around. So it's pretty nuts what can happen when you start to do these kinds of things, And like I've seen the journey, right? So I've seen him when he's like probably just after rock bottom. So he could pay for rent, but he didn't have much else, right? It was. Some of the stories he's told me are insane, like about how he tried to make money back in those early days. And he's just been laser focused, and he's been very smart around how he's managed his money, right? But the key point is that like he's just been working. Everyone is like thinking of a silver bullet on how to get rich quick or how to get the perfect body, like how to be good socially. Like the key is work. Like you have to put in the effort, and so it's epic to see when you've seen people go through the whole journey, from the start when it was uncomfortable every day, late nights, early mornings, doing the thing, and then you wake up 10 years later and they seem to be doing quite well for themselves.
Yeah, and I think did your mate, was he quite a sporty person? Like, did he play sports as a kid? This is just a theory I've got.
He always kept healthy. I don't know whether he is like into like a specific sport, but he definitely gymmed in his time.
Because if you notice that quite a lot of people who end up being quite successful or very hard workers, I've noticed that usually they've got a background in some sort of sport where they've performed at some level, and it's because to get to that level you've got to work hard, right? So sport and exercise is the same concept as earning your stripes in the business. You've got to do the work. Like, you're not just going to get put in the first 15 if you haven't proven that you deserve to be there.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
that consistency, right?
Yeah, and I think correlates into normal life. So one of the things I was saying, I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, but we talked about how you needed to, like, if I ever have kids, the big thing I'll be pushing is to play as many sports as they can, because I think that's one of the things that's helped me as I've grown up is like I've learned how to work hard, and I've learned what it feels like to be absolutely shattered. I've learned to lose. I've learned to win. I've learned how to do teamwork. I've learned also how to rely on myself through individual sports. So I played tennis, I played water polo, I did swimming, I played underwater hockey for New Zealand. You played underwater hockey for New Zealand as well. And I feel like you're a similar person. You've played quite a lot of sports. You've done a lot of individual sports and a few team sports. You're not the greatest out of water, but
we'll always give it a go though, right?
Exactly. And that's the other thing is not being afraid to try sports that you're not good at. Like I started running because I couldn't run. I could run, but I was pretty shit at it. So I was like, right, I want to get good at running. I wouldn't say I'm a good runner now, but I do it because it challenges me. And then I do my Olympic lifting because I'm good at it and I enjoy it. But I will also have so much to work on. But I'm getting better. So I've got my running, which I feel like I'm really average and I'm getting slightly better. Olympic lifting, naturally quite good at, and I want to get to here. Running, I'm happy to be down here. Like, doesn't really matter. But the Olympic, it's that nice kind of cross training. It's a little bit humbling as well when you see you're running a half marathon and you see the full marathon runner who's leading the race pass you, and he's done a full marathon faster than you've done a half marathon. And you're like, what? But that
yeah, but I've seen your lifts. You're getting pretty strong, eh, Deb?
Oh, they're getting up there. We'll see what we do in 2 weeks' time at North Islands.
Oh yeah,
So,
is there a comp coming
big
up?
competition up in Hawke's Bay. Hopefully there'll be a live stream, but yeah, trying to get some big totals up there.
What numbers are you aiming for?
So I'll be aiming to be in the 96 weight class, which means I need a 232 total to get to nationals. So that's like a C grade total. My PB is 237, but I'm still on the comeback from the concussion. But I had a 230 total a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
But if I hit all my PBs, I'll have a 245 total. So
not too shabby.
That. The goal is to eventually get to A grade, which is 2 categories up. So I think I have to like put 20 kilos on both my lifts. So easy.
You know, with a bit of work, you'll be right. Yeah.
That's the thing. Got to work. Got to keep following the
big
program.
Numbers.
Yeah.
That's the one.
5 days a week. Get the mahi.
Good stuff.
Well,
good stuff. No, I'd have to agree with you that sport lays a good foundation for earning your stripes. Like we've all, or you and me both, we've had our journeys and underwater hockey especially, but yourself with weightlifting and CrossFit as well. And it just provides a solid basis for continual improvement, failing, like you said, like you get knocked down. We've both had injuries at different times. We've not been chosen for certain teams. We've like you just need to put in the effort. Like underwater hockey was probably the first time that I found something that I went full noise 24/7. Like everything revolved around one thing. That was underwater hockey back in the day, you know. Like before then, it was just like normal kid stuff, like messing around with your mates, like complaining in school, you know, going home, play fighting with brothers, stuff like that, you know. That's another story. That was an underwater hockey trip too.
That was so funny.
Like that, sport is really good for it. I think. There's three sectors of, or 3 environments that I think that people have this mindset in, right? It's like athletes, high-level athletes, because they'll just do anything to get the training done and perform at the competitions. High-level executives, because like when business like challenges like come at them and like shit hits the fan, they're like they figure stuff out and they get stuff done and pull all the resources and figure out a strategy. And then there's military, like anything that happens, like season, weather, or terrain, they're just like full noise, gung ho, right? There are pockets of other areas that it happens too, but they're sort of the personalities that I've seen throughout my life that it like they just put in the work when, especially when needed, you know, when they're in crisis mode, that's when like they hit it hard.
And that's like I love the saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, because they just get shit done. Like they find the time in the day. Like if you want, like I found that if someone doesn't have much time, or like they do have a lot of time on their hands, they procrastinate with things that they've got to do. Whereas I'm a classic for that. If I'm not busy, I take so long to get things done. But if I've got a massive to-do list, I'm like, right, let's just check these off. Let's go, boom, 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 and just like I'll get heaps done in a day. And then if I've like only got a couple of things to do, I'm like, I've got a bit of time. And then next minute, it's like, I've just wasted my whole day talking to people.
Fill that day, fill it right up. The other version of that saying is, if you want something done, give it to a lazy person, because they'll figure out the easiest way to do it.
I like that.
It's
least amount of
two
work
angles
possible
from the same problem. But
that's brilliant.
There's no silver bullet to earning your stripes. You have to put in the hard yards. Like, how do you expect someone to, if you've got two people going for the same goal, and one person works 7 days a week for 10 years, the other person works 9 to 5, like 5 days a week. It's just simple math that the guy who puts in the time, assuming they're like in similar environments and they've got similar like IQ and what have you, whoever puts in the most time, they'll just go further.
The other part that you want to be...
Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, the other part you want to be cautious of, though, is the burnout. Because if you go hot too fast, you'll end up burning out and not getting to your end goal. So it's finding that balance of being the hardest worker in the room, but also understanding how much you can push your own body. Because I've had the mistake a couple of times where I've been like hammering it, and then I just like my body just goes, and I can't handle it. But your other point.
Just on that, like everyone has their equilibrium, right? They find their stride, they find like what works for them, and it's always a constant battle. But like once you've been doing this for a few years, you figure out your rhythm and you know like how to go about your life, right? But I've found like there's a whole bunch of people that have told me, oh, Jace, you'll burn out. You're like, you can't take on so much. And like back in the early days, I was thinking maybe I will burn out. Maybe like I started doubting myself. And so I didn't stretch myself as far. And then I got lazier and I didn't like do what I wanted to do. So now whenever someone says like, you can't do it, like it's sort of like, I just shut that off and like, it's just noise in the background, you know? So everyone's got to find their comfy middle ground. But so it's...
You've got to know your own body cues, right? Like I know there's certain things that happen when I know I'm getting too tired and or if I'm doing too much. And I've learned the, I guess, coping mechanisms or learned when to pull back a little bit. And injuries have a massive play in people's, I guess, work stamina, but and then just outside life perspectives. But if you learn to know your body, which is another reason why I think sport's really good, because you learn about your body and you learn about how to feel what's actually happening. You can figure out how to work really hard and work efficiently. But it's also learning like.
Oh, go on.
What's that? I was just saying it's about how much do you really want something, and are you willing to sacrifice things? Because that's the other part of earning your stripes. You're going to have to sacrifice stuff if you want to get to where your goal is. It doesn't come without sacrifice. Like, you can't have it perfect.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. Like, you can't always choose your wins, because like you never know whether you're going to win or not in the future, but you can be quite precise about your sacrifices, right? So at the moment, I'm trying to optimize for learning and work. So in terms of business development and whatnot. So that's like my two key areas. So what I've sacrificed on is generally social life, and also, but I turn up when it's important, but I don't go out every week and whatnot. And then also, I don't exercise as much as I used to. Now, I used to exercise quite a bit, but maybe I'm like at 3 times a week now. So that I maintain generally a healthy lifestyle, but that's just because of the phase I'm in. Like I'm just gunning it for those areas in my life, and life goes through seasons. You change what your emphasis is on, but you can choose your sacrifices, and if like those sacrifices should correlate to the goal you have in mind at that time, right?
Yeah, and definitely, and it's sometimes you're going to have to. It's a really hard choice. Like, it's really so. For example, next weekend I got a friend who's having leaving drinks. I've got a tournament the week after for my lifting, so I'm going to have to be. Well, I've decided I'm going to be the sober driver, so it doesn't. There's no way I can be tempted to have any drinks, because I do enjoy a few brews, and I love staying out and partying and being in that vibe. I love the party atmosphere, but I've been working so hard for the last couple of months to get to where I've got to in my lifting. The sacrifice I make is I'm still going to go. I'm still going to turn up. I'm still going to make sure I'm there to show that I'm like that. This person's leaving, so I want to show that I actually care by turning up. But it doesn't mean that I have to stay the whole night. I don't have to go to town. I can turn up, say my goodbyes, sort of thing. I'm sure there's other opportunity where I'll be able to go as well, and I'll probably go out for dinner with them or something like that. But I've decided already, I'm like, right, this is my priority. This person here is the priority, but the actual party atmosphere isn't the priority. So I figured out a way to make the two of them meet, but that's meant that I've had to sacrifice the night out, which in the long run isn't a big deal. But sometimes you get in your head, you're like, oh, but what if it's the best night ever? There'll be plenty of best night ever. So
exercise has this magic thing about it that like you're always like on this continual improvement, and it's so hard to improve, but it's so easy to go backwards. And so it makes you reframe everything you do, because you have to prioritize other aspects of your life if you do want to improve. And so I think that's why it's so good for work ethic, and it spreads to other areas of your life because of it. And here's a little bit of science for you. So science. So when you exercise, you release this thing called BDNF. It's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, right? So that's the thing that impacts like your learning centers and your emotional regulation, or a little bit, mainly learning centers, right? So if you exercise, then like you can learn more efficiently, and it's easier to work. So unfortunately, like when we get stressed, like there's these welfare things that don't get taken care of in your personal life, and a lot of the things that slip are things like eating healthy and exercising and all the rest of it. But if you maintained, the funny thing about it is if you maintained exercise, then it would spread to other pieces of your life too, because like you wouldn't be sacrificing those little things that happen in your body. So BDNF is just one thing, but there's a whole raft of things that happens in your body that improves like your day-to-day living, and also your life expectancy and longevity. So links in with science.
Damn, I love it when it links in with science, because then it makes you feel like you're actually talking about something that's factual.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's pretty cool. I love exercise. Like it's given up both of us so much.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I reckon if someone asked you the question, how do I earn my stripes? What's your response to that? Like a simple response. It's a very hard question to have a simple response to, but I guess it's a good way to kind of to finish up the podcast with a how do you earn your stripes, because we've talked about it, but what's the 30-second spiel, maybe a minute.
Obviously it's situation dependent, but
100%.
Put one foot in front of the other. Like I would say, like, work so hard towards it where your mentality is still intact, right?
Yeah.
Because that lowers the chance of failure, right?
Yeah.
So just whatever you want to do, go at it as hard as you can, right?
Yeah.
You want to maximize the chance for success. That's what it comes down to. But just don't sacrifice on the things that you don't want to sacrifice on. If there's many roads to Rome, and you'll continually adjust, right? So you'll never be like on a straight path. There'll always be like different challenges coming at you left, right, and center. So you just gotta figure it out like everyone else does. It's crazy that we expect 18-year-olds to have it figured out, you know?
Yeah.
Anyone in their 30s or 40s knows that life just doesn't happen that way. Like you get to 30, 40, you're like, oh, what have I been doing for the last couple of decades? You know? So just figure it out. Just enjoy the ride. Hit it hard, and if the goals change, that's fine. Jump on the new trajectory. And the other thing is, you won't know like what happens if you took a different path. So don't look back. No regrets. Just do your thing. Earn your stripes. Work hard. Enjoy the journey. That's it. Like people put too much pressure on themselves.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There's a lot of performance anxiety stuff coming out like around school and stuff, where kids are expecting to get like super hardcore grades, and they're like, oh no, like if I fail NCA level 1, I'm never gonna make it in the world. Mate, I failed NCA level 3 and I own 2 gyms. Like, if that
funny
helps
story.
You feel better about that.
A funny story. I didn't even get UE. Like,
did you not?
No. I had to reset
Holy shit.
an assessment like to get the points I needed. So like, you know, you never know where you're going to land. Like I probably got lazy towards the end of school and
same. I just
focus on sport and just like mentally I was done. Like I didn't want to do academics back then. It wasn't like a good system for me. I was a pretty sporadic kid, so class didn't suit me too well. Exactly. So I know. What would your advice be? Earning one's stripes.
I think to earn your stripes is you've not got to be afraid to get your hands dirty. Like, start at the bottom, make your way up, and don't expect it to happen overnight. Like, you're not going to become an internet sensation overnight. Even though that people say, oh, they became one overnight. These people have been doing like videos for years. They don't just do one random video and then suddenly become like their first video doesn't become viral. It's lots of different videos. And that's just a random example. But yeah, so nice and simple. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Start at the bottom and just keep chipping it away every day so that you can get to where you need to get to.
Yeah. Eat some dirt for a while.
Sprint. Yeah. Your favorite.
And the funny thing is, like, the start seems really slow, but you hit a point where things start like exponentially improving.
Yeah.
Like it's those compounding returns, you start to accumulate skills, some knowledge, and then like before you know it, you're like away laughing. But often it takes like a decade or two. That's the thing. And if you can grind it out and see the light at the end of the tunnel, like years ahead or years before rather, then you've made it,
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a great note to end on, I think, unless you've got anything to add.
No, I think we've covered everything we can with this topic.
Yeah. No, epic, great topic. I'm pretty passionate about this one. I think it's important for people to hear, because you meet different people in life, and they're on their own journeys, and like you can see when people have put in the work. You can just see how it's turned out in their life. They're like organized, disciplined, they're onto it, like switched on all the time.
Yeah.
You can just tell.
I think something you said at the start of the podcast, you don't deserve anything.
Zero. Absolutely nada. Awesome. We'll hit it on the head there. Thank you so much, Stephen. You're a champion.
Thanks, Jace.